Hello.
Hello, Andrea.
Yeah, it's me.
It's Darina calling. How are you today?
Hello, Darina. I'm good. Just give me 1 second. I'm looking at a quiet place to have our call.
Yes, of course.
Great. Okay, the meeting room is free. Perfect. Here I am.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for agreeing to contribute to the study. I really appreciate it, even if it's last notice. And you a bit about how it's going to go and what's the purpose of it. I just sent you an email, the first part with an online questionnaire. So whenever you have a moment, it's even mobile friendly. This part basically answers characteristics about inventors, entrepreneurs, much like yourself. As for the interview that we're about to do, this is about the activities that you endure on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, great.
So it's a set of 11 questions.
Perfect. My only constraint is time. So at 45,
yes, of course.
I have to leave.
Course.
But great.
Of course. All right, so might as well start. So in your opinion, is there any difference between an inventor-entrepreneur and non-entrepreneurial inventor?
So you mean like a professional CEO and what do you mean by inventor CEO?
I mean inventors that choose to become entrepreneurs and inventors that decide to remain within a company or in a research-based system.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe there's a major difference?
Yes, I do believe there is major difference. I mean, I believe that I'm talking just about my experience, also sharing, my personal experience with other people here in the EPFL environment. So most of us, I would say, we describe ourselves as an inventor, entrepreneurs, because in a way or another, our let's say company is derived by our own research. I believe that. I think the key difference is that we may be driven by different factors with respect to what a non-inventor entrepreneur may be driven. I believe a non-inventor entrepreneur may be driven mostly by profit. I would say. Otherwise, there is really, well, I guess in most of the fields, I wouldn't see how they would start a venture otherwise. Whereas maybe an inventor entrepreneur may be driven by other factors. I mean, some I think may be driven by the fact that they want to see whether their research eventually works, and this needs substantial resources and needs to go through clinical trials and so on. Some other of us really see it as a natural continuation of their research career. So you have the scientific impact, but you also want to have a sort of impact on the rest of the people. And then, I mean, aside from, let's say, from the motivation behind, I think there is as well some differences in terms of preparation, of course, because I would say as well that most of inventor entrepreneurs are not really trained. I think most of the cases on business aspects. So I would say these people normally, I mean, need to complement their skills and the skill gaps with other persons in the team that are more that have more business background.
Okay, very interesting. Yes. Okay. Have that noted. As for your main activities that you do on a daily basis, can you please describe a day at work?
Yeah, sure. Well, it truly depends on the period, honestly, because we're a very small team, so somehow across the year you have to do very different activities, and my day at work varies really strongly depending on which period we are. Let's say that in general, I have three main types of typical day, I would say. Right now, I'm more in a fundraising type of day, so I'm running around all day. I'm traveling, I would say 90% of the time, and I'm mostly meeting people and presenting the product. So that's what it does, and then I do a small part of, I would say, 10% is dedicated to still interacting with the team and make sure that things go well. But most of the effort is dedicated really on presenting the project and trying to close funding round. Then in different periods, well, I'm still actively developing the product, and hopefully I will go back to this as soon as we close this round. So I'm also part of the development team. I lead the R&D for this. So that's another type of activities that you may find. And then the third one is as well, we do have like a big part of clinical research. So sometimes there are periods in which we are testing extensively the product into clinics with clinicians and patients. So this is another type of thing. But yeah, I would say it's mostly it truly depends on the period. That's clear.
Okay, that's very interesting. And that goes hand in hand. And basically, are there any job functions, activities, or actions that you are solely responsible for?
Well, yes, we have let's say. At the current stage, it's pretty well defined how each of the team takes care of its own responsibilities and tasks. So you want to have an overview more or less of how it works, or what was your question exactly?
Meaning, is there case, are there any activities that you're the only person that is responsible for?
Yes, I mean fundraising. It's mostly my responsibility. It's also like most of the communication for the company. I do it. Then of course other activities are on a per project basis because we have several projects running in parallel. So I have some specific projects that I'm uniquely leading. Whereas on let's say more in general on the development of the product, I share this responsibility with other technical persons that help me to tend to so they indirectly manage, for example, interns or other team members.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
So just to be sure, you don't manage the people, but do you take part of the process in terms of who you hire, etc.?
Absolutely, yeah. Hiring is something that I do, but I also, it's not that I uniquely do this. Normally we have a process depending on which hire we do. So I'm always sharing this with my team member that is taking care more, for example, of the technical development or on the clinical research, depending really on which profile we are. So I never take this decision alone, also because eventually they will not only work with me. So at least I always involve another person. So it's not I wouldn't describe this as something that I do exclusively myself.
Okay. And speaking of funding, what actions do you take to attract investors, secure funding? Is there like a patent process or any kind of marketing activities you do to do that?
Sorry again. The question is, how do we find investors, or how do we motivate them to invest?
It's a bit of both, basically. I understand that it's you're traveling right now. You answered that part, but what do you do in terms of interesting and motivating them to go to your company?
Well, you have to demonstrate to them basically that you're going to make. Depends on the type of investors. Normally, there are two types. Some that are driven only by their, let's say, personal. They're willing to look for a project that they find interesting, and these are normally like business angels and so on, where they can help, or where the project can have, let's say, a sort of positive benefit on society or on health of other people, depending on the situation that they've been living in first person. And then there are more institutional investors or other types of business angels that are just profit driven, so they just want to see a return on their investment in a couple of years. So it's really dependent on who you're talking to, your pitch somehow, right? Because for persons that are just interested to make money, you have just to show how you're going to make money and how fast and how much, and of course show a solid case, both scientifically, technologically, and then most importantly economically. For other persons, this may be unnecessary. So especially in our case, where we have a sort of very emotional product that really touches the lives of people, then you may it comes more or less natural for us to interact in different terms with these other investors. that are more interested in either bringing to life products that have an impact on people's lives, or maybe they had in their family. We have solutions that for stroke, maybe they had in their family stroke case and so on. So they are, let's say, more connected to the problem in first person, and it resonates more with them. So it really depends. And how do we find them? Well, it's mostly networking. So you always try. It's rare that you can. I also do like a lot of cold calls and emails, but it works definitely much better, and it's a better investment of your time if you just go through your network of contacts. So really, it's you try to get introduced by other people that you know, or find a way to reach them and get an introduction to these people.
Okay. That goes hand in hand again with another question. In which activities do you participate in order for the company to grow?
In which activities I participate for growing the company? Well, in our case, it's a medical device, so somehow we are not yet on the market, and we will not be for quite a long time, because there is a whole process of regulatory and clinical activities that needs to be performed before. So I wouldn't talk about growth yet. I mean, we're still in a phase in which we have to strongly demonstrate that the product really does what is intended to do. So demonstrating this clinically with showing that it has benefits on the patients with clinical trials and so on. So we're not yet in a phase in which we can even test our business models, because we cannot sell the product until it's approved for commercialization with a CE mark or with FDA approval in the US. So most of our activities now are related into completing the product and validating its clinical efficacy. So it's mostly clinical, regulatory affairs and development of the product.
Okay, and I see we have time for just one more question. You mentioned about the day where it's basically 3 different types of activities you do. Right now you're doing the funding, but do you mind describing the day when you are developing the product and you're assisting the research and development team? How does it work? What are the activities?
Sure. So, I mean, let's say we have more or less 3 different types of developments we're doing. One is software, one is the electronic circuitry of our product, and one is the wearable part. So normally I would try to have, let's say at least one meeting with each of the person every week. So just to keep updated on the progress. And then I normally take care directly of leading the development of the software part. So there we would use a methodology that is called Scrum normally. We basically, it's like somehow very, very high level. It's like you define some objectives week by week, and you try to reach them in what you call them sprints. And so my days is mostly defining the objectives with the team, seeing if we're stuck on something, try to provide suggestions if we can solve them quickly. And then the rest of the day is actual development. So I'm still developing actively, not now, of course, but at need, let's say. And so that's what. And then of course there is always a part of the day that is dedicated to emails and interactions with the outer world that is always there constantly. But that's unavoidable.
I understand. And part of the emails is people like me that are really thankful for this interview. I believe that's all the time we have, Andrea. But it was a pleasure talking to you. And if you are interested in the results or anything, just let me know. And whenever you have a moment to answer the questionnaire, I would really appreciate it, because it basically complements my research.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Hope was helpful.
Yes, indeed. It was really insightful. I really means a lot.
Maybe just a quick feedback that could help other people. Maybe you may want to send a little in advance what exactly is this definition of inventor, entrepreneur, and what do you mean by that? Because the first question for me was a little bit fuzzy, but again, you can.
Yeah, I will definitely have that noted, but I actually want to avoid giving a definition because I'm actually developing the definition or contributing to the typology.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
Have a nice day then.
Thank you
Bye.
very much, Andrea. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.